All right. So we're going to work with straw today for some breath, along with, just a regular practice. And one of the beautiful things about working with the straw is that it accentuates our exhale. And so, always, I feel like I'm constantly encouraging myself and you all to lengthen exhales. But I think we all know why this is good for us. It not only tones our diaphragm and increases our capacity to work with the pressure gradients of breath, but it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system to help us relax. There's a little bit of a flip side of working with the straw. Sometimes, when you're not used to long exhales and you work with the straw to lengthen the exhales, it can feel a little constraining or scary or panicky. So, obviously, if that happens while we're practicing with the straw today, just stop doing anytime you feel panic in your practice because of manipulating anything at all. Always just pause, slow yourself down, give yourself an opportunity to just breathe well without the straw, or do whatever it is that you need to kind of come back into a state of homeostasis and then try again. So it's a learned effort to lengthen the exhale. So and the other thing I want to say before we get going, is when you learn to move your diaphragm well. Of course, we all know this diaphragm of ours is this dome, at the base of our ribs. And when we inhale, it widens and flatten, it goes down and widens and flattens. And then when we exhale, it draws up and in. And the movement of the diaphragm is what creates the pressure gradient in our lungs so we can breathe in and breathe out. And it's controlled by the phrenic nerve. It's not the vagus nerve that controls the diaphragm. Um, but a lot of times we bypass this natural thing and we try to breathe with muscles. We try to breathe with effort, both on the inhale and the exhale. But with one of the things that's really cool about straw breathing in particular is that when we have something that helps us slow down on that kind of level, we often can find the bounce of our diaphragm. So when you naturally inhale after a long exhale, and I'm explaining this now so I don't have to talk about it later when we're doing it. But think about this later. When you have a long exhale and then you naturally kind of rebound to the inhale, notice if you're stretching it out just a little bit, if you feel kind of like a bounce of the diaphragm or a feeling of that the diaphragm is what's initiating that next inhale instead of muscular exertion stimulating that next inhale. So look for that a little bit when we're practicing. I think if we force our breath, if we force inhale, we tend to lift up and we tend to use a lot of the accessory muscles and kind of learning to just rely on the natural state of the diaphragm. It's our primary mover, so we want to offer the job to it. We want the diaphragm to always be the leader and be in charge. So sometimes this kind of efforting of the exhale, I say efforting, but lengthening of the exhale can help us regain that natural bounciness of the diaphragm in our movement. So just kind of look for that in the practice a little bit today. All right, so let's start. No straws yet, just have it handy, but let's start in a comfortable position. And before we even kind of settle into a bit of a meditation, let's move a little bit. So maybe a little cat-cow, sitting down where you're rounding the spine and arching the spine. Maybe, your head can kind of, I'm moving back so you can see a little bit more. Maybe your head can get a little involved. Maybe your shoulders can get a little involved. Maybe you want to move, just allow some natural, whatever wants to happen so that you get your spine and your neck and your pelvis to just find its way into knowing here you are sitting on your cushion. Feel free to do any kind of movements besides just a simple cat-cow that bring you home into your body. Okay. You can stick out your tongue a couple times if you want. Ah, ah. All right, so anything, a little jiggles, a little sway, a little circling on your pelvis. So just kind of take a little time to feel your body. Okay. And then we'll all do a twist. We're going to reach the right arm up and bring it to the outside of the left knee and take yourself into a twist. And remember that the dynamic movement of this pose is the breath itself. So feeling the rising of the inhale, the falling of the exhale, and how that kind of uh, moves your rib cage and your spine. And then we'll go to the other side, bringing our hand to the outer knee. Don't force. You don't have to like push, push, push. We're just welcoming some mobility into the spine. Maybe you want to turn your head all the way. Maybe you want to turn your head all the way back. Whatever feels right. Find your breath. And then we'll come to a neutral place. So ground yourself and notice what just that subtlety of movement has created within you. And find a grounded centering on your sit bones, a lengthening through your spine. Bringing yourself into your breath. Softening through your face, relaxing any tension that you feel. Letting your breath return to just a nice natural pacing. You don't have to slow things down a lot or speed things up. Just see if you can return your breath to that natural pacing. All right, now, before we begin, we're going to do this twice. We're going to start and do a little bit of this breath work with straw, and then we'll practice a little bit, and then we're going to do it again. But the very first thing we're going to do, I'm going to set a timer. And I don't want you to try to elongate your breath a whole lot. I just want you to breathe. Just find your nice, natural breathing pace. And I'm gonna set a timer for 1 minute, and I want you to count how many breaths you take in 1 minute. And I know it's hard to find the naturalness of this because the minute you're looking at your breath, things start to change. But for this moment, let's see if we can do the best that we can do with this. And I'll let you know when to start. I'm going to set a timer. So, ready, set, go. Keep your body as relaxed as you can. Try not to rush the breath. Try not to slow the breath. Just come in and settle to a nice, easy pace of breathing. Keeping your face and your head relaxed. Maybe your eyes are closed. All right, so there's 1 minute. So just notice what, kind of keep track of that pace of your just natural breathing. Okay, so take your straw and we're going to put it in our mouth and hold the straw. So we're not, just holding the straw without our hands. So we don't want to grip our face muscles. We don't want our tongue or our lips to kind of find too much tension. And when you inhale through your nose, if you can, if everything's going well with your nose today. Inhale through your nose. And while you're doing this, put your tongue at the roof of your mouth right behind your teeth so that you know that you're not breathing in through the straw. And fill your inhale, just a nice, beautiful inhale. And then our concentration will be on that slow pace of the exhale, breathing out through the straw. Try not to push. It's not like we're trying to throw darts through the straw. We're just kind of finding that straw helping us slow things down. If you don't have a straw, you can do this through pursed lips and just try to slow your pace. Okay. And we're going to do it for a few breaths. I'll let you get started. And then after a bit, I'm going to set a timer again and I'll tell you when so that you can measure the number of breaths you take. Again, maybe we'll stop and then I'll set the timer. All right, so breathing in through your nose, touching the back of your teeth, breathing out through the straw, through your mouth, paying close attention to slowing the exhales down, and then a reminder to just see if you can find that natural bounce of the diaphragm as you return to the inhale. If you don't like touching the back of your teeth or the roof of your mouth, no problem. Don't focus on that. You just want to make sure you're not breathing in through the straw. Notice if you're starting to kind of settle into a naturalness of pace. We'll do it just a little bit longer before I set a timer. So just want to kind of get used to the comfortable nature of a slow exhale. And then when you are finished with this round of breathing, just pause for a moment. Notice if there's a shift or a change in your mental state. And put the straw when you're ready. Don't take a very long pause, but put the straw back in your mouth. And I'm going to set the timer to begin for 1 minute. So I want you to count your breathing, and we'll start now. All right, stop your time. I stop. Oops, sorry, that's loud. Stopping the timer. And just notice if you had any change in the pace of your breath. If you had any change in the way your mind feels. If you've had any change in the harmony of your body in this breathing pattern, if you have felt that bounce of the diaphragm. So hopefully you noticed that your breath slowed down. And remember, you can do this without a straw. The straw is nice because it just is a tool that allows us to not be distracted by how slow, the mouth movement of slowing the breath down kind of naturally is held for us. So feel free to practice this. Sometimes I keep a straw in my car and I'll just do this while I'm driving, which sounds silly, but you can do it while you're reading a book, or you don't have to count. And you can be very mindful and do it in just a meditative way like we've been, or you can just add it to some other menial task that you're doing. Okay, let's come off our seat and we'll come onto our back. And we're gonna do that one more time at the end of our practice. So be mindful that you can keep this going as much as you want without the straw. So see if you can keep that nice steady breath pace as we start to move. So stretch out on the ground and feel the length in your body, reaching your arms overhead and enjoy what it feels like to stretch open through your ribs and feel your torso and your shoulders and your hips. And the knees into your chest, a little bit of rocking to and fro. Hang on to the knees and try a little circling of your knees. And circle the other way. And then we'll open up our knees away from the middle and bring them back in toward, and just enjoy kind of waking up some of the joint spaces in your body. Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground, and let's roll our ankles and wiggle our toes and feel some freedom in our feet. A nice good squeeze. Switching sides, left knee in, right leg long, and feel that movement again. Any kind of sensation that you're becoming aware of, let's see if we can savor and be present for it. And then just a little back and forth. So left knee in, right knee in, and straighten the other leg as you go, kind of stimulating your core a little bit, getting some range of motion in your hips and in your knees. Notice your breath. So of course your core is stabilizing you, so your diaphragm is a little more restricted. So notice if you can still breathe well. And then reach out to a star on the ground, stretching your limbs really wide. Let's roll our wrists as well. And then on your exhale, knees into your chest, head comes up. Let's repeat that again, expanding, open, big. Exhale, drawing in small. Put your head on the ground, put your arms out to the side, and let's windshield wiper our knees. Moving left and right here, so we have that nice feeling of mobility in our spine and in our hips. All right, and we'll roll all the way to our right side. Knees together, palms together, right angles with your hips and knees, and let's open up like a buck. Spread open your wings, turn your head, bring your arm behind you, touch the ground, and bring it back. And just feel that thoracic rotation, opening up your breath. One more time. And then release back. Let's roll to the other side. Palms together, knees together. Let's open up, turning, twisting, breathing. And then back to a star on the ground, reaching wide, and then draw the knees in, roll to your side, and come up to your hands and your knees. As you find your way to all fours, start to move through your spine. We're arching and we're rounding, taking some time to feel that fullness of our breath. And then any movement that you want, feeling your spine wiggle around, move your pelvis, your shoulders, your head, anything at all. And we'll come back to a child's pose and take your arms out in front of you, stretch through your shoulders, reach your hands, maybe inch those fingers. And then we'll walk our hands over to one side and feel that groundedness of your sit bones, breathing deeply. And then come back to center and feel that reaching here on the other side. And then we'll come back up onto all fours. Find a little movement and let's find our twist, reaching an arm up. Roll your wrist if you'd like, and then take that shoulder underneath and twist that thoracic spine a little deeper. Find your breath. And then reach that arm back up in the air, hand high. Bring that hand down onto the ground. Let's switch sides, arm up. Exhale, drop that shoulder. Full breaths here. Release any tension through your neck. Have the depth of twist that's available and breathe into it. And then reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Let's find a dog pose. So spread out through your palms. Come up onto your feet. Lift your knees up off the ground. Start to pedal a little bit. Welcome your whole body into this pose. Full breath in. Long breath out. Notice if your breath from that beginning work is a little different than it might normally be. All right, and then we'll come down onto our knees again. Take a puppy pose. Walk the hands far out in front of you. Keep your hips high. Drop your chest down. Lift under your armpits a little bit so we're not totally collapsed. Feel that thoracic spine open up a little bit more. And then walk the hands back. Grab two blocks. Put them on your mat with the short edges touching. Put your elbows on your blocks and stretch back toward a child's pose. I like to curl my toes under so my hips have a little more height. And then drop your thumbs toward your spine, stretching open through your triceps. Lengthen from elbows all the way to your hips. So we're stretching through our ribs, our shoulders, our triceps. Again, we're not collapsing toward the ground. A little lift under the armpits and stretch long instead of down. Feel your breath. And then relax your arms. Take those blocks and move them to the side and come to a dog pose again. Finding length, reaching upward, breathe. And then when you're ready, we'll come forward into Uttanasana. A forward fold, relax your head, give it a little bob if you want. Take your hands to the base of the skull and draw your head down. And maybe your chin toward your chest, opening up through the back muscles. And release your head. Come to a halfway lift, opening up through your spine here. Feel the room you have to breathe. Maybe pedal your feet a little bit here. Feeling that openness through the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, the sit bones. And then relax and melt. Push through your feet, rising up. Bring the arms to the sky. All right, on your next breath in, cactus, open your chest. And then exhaling, round and chin to chest. Again, rising up, bring your arms out to the sides, palms facing forward, open up through your biceps, your chest, turn your thumbs down toward the ground. And then reach the arms back up one more time and release your arms. Give your hands a little bit of a shake. And we'll take one arm over the other. Drop your shoulders like eagle pose arms. Lift your chest. Find your breath. Enjoy what this feels like between your shoulder blades, around your shoulders, even the tops of your shoulders, through your neck, maybe even to the base of your skull. Sometimes I even feel this around my eyes. So just notice your sensations. Reaching the arms up, we'll change sides, other arm on top, drop shoulders, wide collarbones, lift and expand through your heart. Notice your breath here. Slow it down, get it full and deep. Do you feel your diaphragm moving? And release the arms. Reach them up, a little bit of a leaning back if it feels nice. And then bring your arms down. Interlace your hands behind you or grab onto your strap. We'll open up through our chest. Start with your hands on your buttocks, so your fists on your buttocks, and draw your elbows back and just lift through the heart. Feel the front of the shoulders open up a little bit. And then when we're ready, we'll straighten those arms and we'll bring our arms overhead. Find your breath. Relax your neck. All right, release the arms down to the ground. Find your way to a halfway lift. Opening up the backs of the legs again. Exhale and melt here. Put your hands on your thighs. Lock out your shoulders for a moment. And we're just going to do a little bit of diaphragmatic movement. So as you inhale, expand your belly. And as you exhale, draw everything in. Hug in your core, navel to spine, diaphragm draws in and up. That Uddiyana Bandha, the fly up of your diaphragm. Moving through your diaphragm slowly, just moving it with your breath. Notice the pelvic floor joining in the party. All right, and then inhale and come on up to stand. Roll your shoulders a few times here. Give your hands a shake. Give your body a shake. You can just thump a little bit on the ground. Find your breath. Okay. Take your feet maybe a little bit wider than your hips. You decide, hip width or a little wider. And we're just going to very gently plump our arms. Just letting our spine have some mobility. Okay. Your core works a little bit in this. Feel free to lift your heel as you turn. So we're not locking down our pelvis. We're letting our hips move with our spine. Okay. Arms out to the sides. Find your breath. And then arms back down. All right. Now we're going to do this pumping of the diaphragm a little differently. You can continue with what we were just doing. So, when we're in this position kind of locked in, Inhale, belly wide. Exhale, draw in. Now, you can stay with that, or if you want to do the kind of pumping of your diaphragm, we'll stay locked in this position where our shoulders and our elbows are, kind of supported by the weight of our hands on our knees. And then if you want to, instead of just moving with the breath, where we inhale belly away from spine, exhale belly towards spine, you can continue doing that. Or if you want, you're going to exhale all your air out, hold your exhale, and just pump your belly. Okay, so navel to spine and release. And you can find like a diaphragmatic pumping, and this requires a little coordination. So, if it's not something that you're able to do, you can just return to the first pattern that we found. Also, if this is hard on your shoulder, to kind of lock in, you can do this with your hands on a piece of furniture. It's just easier to lean forward to do this than it is to do it standing up. It helps your diaphragm relax just a little bit more. So you take any variation of this that you want. I'm going to do 3 rounds of the held exhale. Deep breath in, but you do you. Exhale all the way out if you're following me. Chin to chest, hold that exhale, pump. Inhale, stand up. Now, I might be holding it way too long for you. I might be holding it not long enough for you. You might not be doing this. So always, you do you in this practice. Twice more. Deep breath in. Lean over, exhale all your air out, chin to chest, and begin to pump. Inhale up. If you're dizzy, stop. Okay, if this makes you feel weird or bad, do something different. One more time if you're still with me. A deep breath in, exhale all your air out, chin to chest, pump. Big breath in and relax. All right, so now we'll all join back together, whether you were doing that or not. Just pay attention, notice the aliveness in your center body. It's like diaphragmatic pumping can be very nourishing for your internal organs, for your heart. There's a lot that the diaphragm relates with in our inner body. All right, inhale, rising up, and then exhale, floating forward. A halfway lift, expanding through your heart. Exhale, melt to fold. Step back to a dog pose. Maybe you're finding your non-dominant foot back first, your choice of how you want to move. Find your breath. And we'll come forward into a plank. Push the ground away. Now notice, with all this strength in our center body, can you still breathe into your ribs? Knees down first if you need it. Find the ground. You're rolling the shoulders, loosen things up. Inhale for a cobra. Open chest. Exhale to release back down. Again, rising up and releasing back down. This third one, take your arms out like a V, palms on the ground. Stretch up. Let's pause in this upright position and maybe stretch one leg, stretch the other leg, stretch both legs. Find that full frontal spinal length. Breathe here. And then exhale and relax. Come up to your hands and your knees and wag your tail deeply.
Back to a child's pose and relax your spine. Let's bring our hands onto blocks if you'd like. Bring your right foot in front. Back knee stays on the ground for a moment. Just enjoy that hip flexor stretch. And then we'll bring our back knee up off the ground and start to move. Follow your breathing. See if you can imagine you still have that straw in your mouth where we're slowing the breath nice and slow and steady. Be patient for your movement patterns to follow your breathing. Ground yourself in your lunge, root your feet, rise up, crescent lunge, arms can come up. Maybe your arms want to be in a different position. Find your breath. We're going to twist here, so turning to the right, find that thoracic movement again. Find your breath. If you want a back bend living here, you can reach back and grab onto the back of your leg or a hand on your hip and stretch open. All right, coming back to center, hands down onto the ground, back foot comes forward and full. A halfway lift, open up, feel the hamstrings stretch wide, melt again. Step your other leg back, left is in front, knee down. Enjoy just opening up through the hip flexors. What a gift to have all this mobility in our bodies and this mobility in our breath. Let's try not to shrink up the breath, but get it broad and deep. Okay, we'll lift our knee off the ground and start to find your way into some movements of that front leg. So we're bending and straightening, but we're moving with the experience of our breathing. Maybe when your leg straightens a bit, your chin tucks or your toes lift. Maybe your hip stretches way back. Maybe you like keeping your toes grounded and feel that front of foot stretch. So just kind of find what feels nice. Enjoy your breath and enjoy your body. When you feel ready, we'll root through our legs, rising up, bring the arms again upward to the sky. Maybe your arms go somewhere else. Maybe you're conserving some energy and keeping your hands on your hips today. So just kind of find what feels right for any of the challenges that your body is expressing or the joys that your body's expressing. Full breaths. Imagine that straw on the exhales. When you are ready on your next exhale, twist left. Keep breathing well. Maybe you want to stay there. Maybe your left hand wants to reach to your right leg. So any variation that your body wants, extending through your spine. And then come back to center. And we're going to turn our legs wide-legged stance. Bring our hands down and relax. Notice how a nice wide pelvic floor gives a lot of space for your breathing. Maybe heel toe your feet in a little bit if you need, and we'll come to a deep, low squat. So elbows inside your knees, opening up the inner thighs, grounding through your legs. All right, then we'll turn back to the front of our mat for a dog pose. Feel that extension in your body one more time. Maybe a little pedaling of your feet, a little yielding into the ground, a little noticing of your breath. We'll come forward into a plank. Find the ground. Take your arms down at your sides, palms facing the ground. Take a deep breath, lift everything up. Super person pose, keep the neck long. Lift the heads of the arm bones, drop your shoulder blades down and in. And then relax. Put your hands underneath your head. Pick up your feet and rock them left and right. Feeling the fullness of your breath. You can repeat what we just did, or if your body is feeling, if your shoulders feel able, you can interlace your hands behind your back for a locust pose. Take a deep breath in, lift up. Upper body, lower body, maybe your lower body wants to stay down. Keep the neck long and breathe. Diaphragmatic push-ups. All right, and then relax again. Hands underneath your head, pick up your feet and rock them left and right. We'll release our spine with a twist. Get your blocks out of the way. Lift your left knee up high toward your armpit. Take a look at that knee. Cross your right arm a bit over to the left and roll open into a twist. Enjoy the simple chest opening of this. Feel free to maneuver that left arm in any way that kind of gives you a good pec opening. Bring yourself into the fullness of your breath. Coming back round again, we'll go to the other side. So right knee up high. Take a look at your knee, let your back release. And then we'll cross the left arm over to the right and roll open to a twist. And again, any movement, you can rock a little bit in this. You can move your arm and swish it a little bit to kind of find some more fibers of your pecs. Just see what your body wants in this pose. Rest your head. All right, and then relax and melt. Come back up onto all fours. Give yourself a little swish in your spine. Maybe drop your hips over to one side and then the other, or maybe a cat-cow. What is it that your spine wants or needs here? And then we'll find a child's pose. You can bring your arms overhead or down at your sides, whatever feels good. All right, we need a blanket and a block. Okay, so open up your blanket like this, and we're going to roll it so that we have a singular bolster, a round bolster. And we'll come to lie down on that bolster in between our shoulder blades. If you want a block under your head, you can take a block under your head. If you don't feel like you need the block, you don't have to use the block. So there's so many positions with arms and legs that's available in this. We're going to do 2 different positions. We're going to do in between our shoulder blades and then the bottom tips of our shoulder blades. And then we're going to skip that lower version that we sometimes do and instead do a supported block, bridge on a block. So that's the sequence. So here with the blanket between our shoulder blades, you can bring your arms overhead if you want. You can cactus your arms or T your arms. You can cross your arms over your chest if you'd like. You can have your arms down at your sides. So just kind of find where you want to be. And once you get comfortable, same with your legs. They can be straight, your knees can be bent, you can knock your knees, you can Baddha Konasana your knees, whatever feels nourishing. Once you find where you want to be, breathe. Slow down those exhales. Breathe through your nose if you can, at least in. And then we'll walk the bolster down a little bit so you feel it at the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. Kind of check in, make sure you're not lower than that. And then again, adjust your legs, your head, your arms, any position that feels good. This will be a little bit closer to the attachments of your diaphragm. Sometimes you can experiment with different positions. Sometimes you can just stay in one position. Just feel whatever it is that's going on for you. All right. Now to come out of this pose, roll to your side, curl to a little ball so that you feel that rounding of the spine a little bit, just letting it release. Full breath here. All right. Let's find our block. We're going to first, before you come to rest on the block, well, let's do the block first. Come to a supported bridge. And so we're coming with the block. You can put any height underneath you, just make sure it's across your sacrum, not in line with your spine. You can straighten your legs if you'd like. You can take your legs neutral hip width or wider. You can bend one leg and straighten the other. You can keep both legs bent. So just kind of find the posture that you want. Same with the arms. You can have a different position if you'd like. See if you can get the feeling that you can expand your ribs. Those lower ribs and your belly and your diaphragm all have a lot of mobility. An area of our body that often gets just kind of stuck, and we don't, we can spend a lot of time during our day very rigid in this part of our rib cage. And then whenever you're ready, you can traction this a little bit by bringing your knees in or bringing your legs straight up or coming to a happy baby or anything that serves, whatever your body is asking for, go ahead and do. We'll get that block out of there. Roll to your side. The twist we're going to do to release from that is a little different. Bring your feet over to the right, resting a little more deeply on your left hip, and just twist your body as if you're turning around to look at something, hands on the ground. Big breaths. Stretch some of those obliques, the intercostal muscles. And then coming back to center, And we'll move our legs over to the other side, resting a little more weight into your right, hands on the ground, and twist this way. Big breath into your ribs. All right, and then come back to center. You can do this sitting up like we did in the beginning, or you can you can do this lying down too if you'd like. But before we enter Shavasana, we're going to do another round of just slowing down our breath with the straw breath. I think we won't time it this time. I think we're all aware that things slow down. So holding the straw with our hand in our mouth. Just like we did before, a beautiful inhale. If you like touching your teeth or the roof of your mouth with your tongue, you can do that. If that's annoying, don't do that. But just make sure you're breathing in through your nose and out through your straw. Try to keep upright. Don't drop your head down. Lift your hand up instead of dropping your head down to your straw. Try to feel that alignment of your spine and the openness of your chest. Notice on the inhale any mobility your ribs have. Look for that bounce. We'll begin to finish. So complete your exhale if you're in an exhale. And then we'll find our way onto our back for Shavasana. If there's anything else your body is needing to care for yourself, if you're at all chilled, make sure you get warm, put a sweater on or have a blanket over you, your socks on. Okay. And as you come to the restfulness of Shavasana, if you have a bolster and you'd like to put it underneath your knees, that's great. Nice softening of your pelvis can be a really great way of being in Shavasana. Knees a little elevated offers that. And as you find yourself coming onto the ground, give your weight, as always, just give your weight. Let's have deep gratitude for the generous ground that supports us. And as you find your way into that deep sense of rest, notice your breathing. Do whatever you can to melt into this. Begin to deepen our breathing. And as you do, melt your body one more time. Give over your weight. Let your exhales slowly come out, followed by a beautiful inhale. Take your time transitioning. So moving a little bit, finding what works for you. As you find your way up to a comfortable seat, just take a moment to recognize how valuable our breathing practices are. Offer your breath to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.